live with MedTree Seas on April 30th, 2023, 2:27 afternoon. Hey, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, pretty good.
So we were just talking about Brown Dog, which was the dispensary that I guess it was a joint ownership, right? It was about three, four guys in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I don't know, I miss it, man. I drive by that building all the time. I drove by it today, and I still miss it because as you know, I was a regular there. So um, yeah, it sucks. Um, but yeah, I always wondered, like, because one day I went to go there and it was just gone, and I didn't know why. And yeah, I guess you're saying you're moving and there's some regulatory
Yeah.
things. So
We are moving to a location down the street, a lot better location. Um, and we are final week. We had it about to open up, going through the final uh printing process, and then the final walkthrough, and they just wouldn't let us open. There's too much that needed to be done. We didn't have the money it needed to take. It took to open, and they just wouldn't let us open.
well,
And
before that sucks.
yeah,
So your license that you had
at the
on
old spot.
Pearson, would they not allow you to use that license, or you this was a renewal?
Yeah, it was basically yeah. When it was time to renew, we found a new spot because the old landlord was gonna jack up the price, like double it, and just the building. It worked. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I miss it a lot myself too, but it wasn't the
Yeah.
best location in town there because it was kind of everyone
No.
just unless you have a purpose, you don't drive by it. So
Exactly. Yeah. If it would have been directly on Palm Drive, like where Desert Finest is, it would have been perfect. Or that corner. I've always like why the eyeglass place where it used to be on the corner there of
mm,
Pearson. Why has no one ever used that? Like that's such a perfect location. Other than parking sucks, it's
yeah,
perfect.
I've asked about that too because that I drove by that I don't know how many hundreds of times and I thought the same thing. But I think one is they didn't want anything directly on Palm at the time,
Yeah.
like right there. It was and then once we got they didn't want anything close there because that's where I think the the city center was always planned to be where it is now on the other opposite corner. It wasn't there at the time, but they
Yeah.
always had the plans for it. And so it was
Yeah.
never zoned. And then I think when it was zoned, the landlord just wanted an exorbitant amount of money.
And then I heard Desert's Finest, they're owned by High Times magazine now.
Okay.
I'm like I'm like that's weird.
Yeah, that is. That's the first I've heard of it. That is really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. Um, yeah, apparently he sold out and bounced. I don't know, but used to be a different situation over there. When it
Yeah.
was a different name. But yeah, that's cool. No, and then there was a point where you guys were offering some like really awesome cuts. Um, about 20 into 2017, maybe 2018 ish, somewhere around there. You guys had like these Kim 4s, the Kim D, the Sour Dove. There was just all these amazing clones. And then something happened, right? Like you guys got broke into or something.
Yeah, we had the worst string of luck for about a year there. That was another thing that we were moving there because we were hoping we out ways. We got broken into four times within a period of a month. That was a hit. We recovered from that. Then there was a manager that was running it and um for a while, and then I don't know. I actually wasn't there at the beginning, and then it was right when I moved in. when I started there is right at that time when we started offering the cuts, he bounced out, but a lot of the bills were under his name, and he didn't things weren't paid, and they thought they were paid, and we ended up we almost the spot almost got shut down from a lack of money, and the 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 power got turned down, and didn't. So I lost a lot of those cuts after that time. Like there's been like, and then
Yeah, it just sucks. There's
yeah,
a whole
that
bunch of
spot
stuff
we always had
basically.
we had always had the chips against us because we came from gray market, traditional market. I've been around for
Yeah, the legacy market. Let's call it the
yeah,
legacy
legacy.
market.
I've been around for a few days, and the the compliance, the whole cannabis department of that town, I love it. But they all come from ex law enforcement that were in charge, that were based, and we were at the time, and they didn't like legacy operators that because they even we even said it to it a couple
Yeah.
times, and then so we just and then we didn't have the money. We've also like that's the thing is we never really had the funding or the big corporate stuff to do the things that they wanted us to do because they kind of cannabis was kind of, as you know, was supposed to bring that town back up into something else to the next level, and then when it didn't materialize like they thought it would get all I guess the cannabis tourism market, they kind of almost went. They didn't want to become known for cannabis, I guess. So I don't know. I still miss it though. I still miss it. I miss everything about that town except for the politics of it.
Yeah.
Because that was a
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
215 part was awesome for sure.
Yeah.
But once the Prop 64 became mandate,
Yeah, it became harder and
and
harder for sure.
yeah, and the stuff with metric, right? Like, yeah, it became harder for everybody to operate. Um,
Especially
yeah,
like
it's
for at the beginning it was really hard because I mean no, not even the state knew what they wanted us to do, but they expected us to do it. And
yeah, I know. Like I've worked also in the industry and also there in Desert Hot Springs for a long time, and like compliance labels were like a big thing everywhere I've worked. They're always changing. Like used to be the BCC, now it's
yeah,
the DCC, right? But still, it's the same shit, same just a bunch of assholes that are writing tickets and just a bunch of assholes basically. But I guess they can be nice to somebody, dude. But anyway, yeah, it's just like the last place that I was working at, they're like, oh, your ingredients label, it needs to have a barcode, like a QR code. We're like, what? We never had to have a QR code before. So like they took pictures of everything. Like, oh, you got to add this. I had some gummy bears that didn't have that the gelatin was from beef gelatin. It
hmm
just said gelatin. They're like, oh, you got to put beef gelatin on there. Like, well, okay. I mean, it's good. It's not bad, right? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, it's not. You would have never found that in the old days, you know. But yeah, Prop 64 is it's changing everything.
yeah,
You know, like you said, there was a lot of I guess for there was also a lot of conflict too that people don't talk about. Like a lot of the big facilities that you're kind of hinting towards. Um, they were not just like individuals. That those are like corporations in multi like focus groups that came together. And it's a bunch of rich people's money and they're investors, and none of them have ever smoked pot in their life. They
no,
don't
no,
know
no, no.
anything about pot, right? They don't know nothing about it, right? But they're gonna they're gonna chase the gold mine and they're gonna make millions off of it, right? And so yeah, they had these hopes, and then like then there, you got all that metric shit you got to deal with. But then it's all like it's no longer about quality. It's about five cycles a year out of that room. Um, almost you dry it as fast as you can without turning it into hay, and then let's trim it and package it. We don't curing that doesn't exist anymore in the
No.
commercial world, right? And and then you got to label it, and then yeah, just I don't know. And then we got a saturated market. I mean, you've seen the price of ounces that they've come down to. It's crazy. Pounds, what they've come down to on the commercial level, it's pretty sad. It's
It,
almost
it's
impossible.
starting to turn around. It's still extremely extremely sad though.
Yeah, I heard this. I saw this statistic, and I don't know if it was real, but it was like it was a super high percentage of people did not renew their licenses this year for their
Yeah,
Prop 64.
I've seen it. It's pretty close to. I think it's pretty close to what they're reporting.
Yeah, super high. So if that's true, that's why we're having a saturation right now because a lot of those people are going bankrupt and they're just dumping their shit on the market to just to kind of recuperate any cost that they can, and then it makes the market look like artificially low because you can walk into places like coffee shop and there's $40 ounces in there. That's not normal. you know.
Yeah.
um, I got some West Coast Cure diamonds for $10 a gram. That's not normal.
No. No, it's like you said. It's really hard. It's hard for smaller operators to exist, and that's one thing. Is yeah, quality quality is gonna. It's hard to scale up. That's the one thing is I there's a few places that can do it that have done it, but I think that's one of the biggest problems is just I think that's one of the reasons like that there's a lot of those people that why there's so many people didn't renew. And a lot of those operations are already under is just there's two reasons is one is everyone the outdoors just flooded with this huge multi operations that you can't compete with, and then but and then in the upper level, everyone just tried to scale too quick. It's a it's just, it's just I don't know. It's hard to explain. Too many lights, too
You
fast.
know, another part of that too is that um, it seems like there was a lot of people that had this mindset where they were only going to be in business for maybe 3 to 5 years at most and get bought out by some big giant thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
That's
and you know, and so now we're 5 years, 4 or 5 years into this, and these people are not. They didn't get bought out by that big giant thing, and yeah, a lot of them are just tanking, and it's a lot of the people that didn't know what they were doing in the first place. They shouldn't even been in it.
yeah.
Like that beautiful building. You know the building I'm talking about. It's Two Bunch of Palms. It was High Life, the High Life building. That
Okay. Yeah.
building,
Yeah. Yeah.
the most state of the art, amazing, just amazing building. I've never worked there, but I've been in it before and seen it. And yeah, they couldn't make it, and
No.
so they sold the building to Jeters. That's now Jeters.
Okay.
And they went in there and they just ripped everything out, all the grow equipment, and converted it into rooms to roll pre rolls. It was sad. It's like the most state of the art grow site is now just a fucking big factory from pre rolls. Bunch of people just sitting at tables rolling joints or stuffing joints, I should say. It's crazy.
Wow, that is crazy.
I mean that was supposed to be the template for the city when new facilities were going to be built, and that's kind of scale, like that was kind of like the template, like the model.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, done. Dunsky. And then I never see people at MedTree. I don't even know if that place is open. I drive by there almost daily, and I'll see one or two cars, but nothing like in 2018 when there was used to be full of people. So I don't even know. Like, I heard Coachella, like that's belly up, and like people are paying their rent to the banks now, right now, because there's no, Bruce and those guys, they're all gone. But
Yeah, that's another thing. Is like, yeah, because the market got saturated too hard to compete, and like a lot the rents in a lot of those places just just starting out was just outrageous.
30,000 a month or something for a really
Yeah,
small spot.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So let's talk about some more positive stuff.
Okay.
So, how long you been smoking? How'd you get into cannabis? What's your what was your introduction to cannabis?
My introduction to cannabis was broke into my dad's stash when I was in high school and took some with me and my best friend who was still, I think, freshman in high school. Took it and rode our bikes up in the hills and just smoked it and smoked it, and that's pretty much ever since.
So you was that did you know what kind of weed it was? It was just good weed.
Yeah, I actually did. It actually ended. My first time was really good. Is my dad had a friend who lived in Kauai for a couple years, was a professional knee surfer, and he brought back a bunch of seeds from there and he grew it and in a part in here in East County, San Diego, and he just that in my I mean that's
Oh, they're
got it
saying
to him, and so it's like actually some really really good stuff. It was I don't know what I had that first time, but he had two stuff that was it was just called Kona and Kauai. Could have been Kauai. I've never actually had Kauai Electric, so I don't know if that's what it is, but
yeah.
I kind of think it was because it was. I know the Kona was Kona Gold, even though it was just called Kona, but the Kauai was way better. It was just
Way better.
yeah, it was an
They're saying you
amazing.
have some people in chat are saying there's an echo on your side.
Oh, is there?
You don't have YouTube open, right? That's closed, or
Yeah, I don't have anything else open.
Echo plus too high.
Say
Could have these volumes turned down a bit.
I could turn
Yeah, I
down.
don't know. It was working on my side, but they're both saying Southern said that too. Hopefully he comes back. Well, in the meantime, we'll go ahead and take a look at his website. He's got MedTree seeds. And he is a multi-time Cannabis Cup winner. Took first place 2-3 times. So we'll hopefully get into that when he gets back. Yeah, he's got some seeds. He's got some really great stuff. RS11 is good stuff. Slurrum is really good. I've always been a big fan of the Slurrum. Xena, of course, one of my favorites. Boats and hose. We gotta talk to him about the boats and hose. Um, all righty.
Sorry. Shit.
All good. Sounds okay to me. Hopefully,
Okay.
it sounds okay to them. So yeah, where the heck were we? We were talking about your weed adventure.
Oh
How you
yeah.
got into weed.
Oh
So yeah, so you were smoking joints. You got into his stash. Were you
yeah.
encouraged by were you encouraged by a girl or your buddies or were you just curious?
I'm just curious.
Just curious. So you
Yeah.
kind of went in there and took a couple buds and did you roll
I
up a joint or what did you do? How did you smoke that?
um I think we made a wooden pipe, like just drilled it out and
Did you
yeah.
get high the first time?
Oh yeah, we got really high.
You got really high. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine you had some Kauai electric. I mean, that's some fire. Well, actually, I've never had bad weed from Hawaii. All the weed but maybe it's because, they're not going to take their time to bring bullshit over here. If they're going to bring
Yeah.
it, spend it, they're going to bring it over here. They're going to make sure it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I used to, say probably like late 90s, early 2000s, I'd see Hawaiian weed come around every once in a while, but it was always really small quantities. Like the most I'd be able to get is maybe a QP. Other than that, it was like there's no more, no one wanted to give you a pound.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was usually like QP or like a fucking an ounce or something. Like I'm like, wow. It's always really good stuff. But there's a seed bank, Pumana Seed Bank. Are you familiar with those guys in Hawaii? They have a lot of really classic stuff. We'll go over it in a little bit. But
Okay.
anyway, so yeah, after that you so did you become a regular smoker after that first
Yeah,
or did
I
you go
did.
back and you kept stealing his stash or did you find another source?
A little bit of both, but I think they told he's kind of started giving it to me when I was about giving me some when I was about 16 because he didn't want me to go through I think other sources and wanted me to be safe and I, I don't know that's actually where my introduction to growing came from. Is he was he was also a small time grower himself. I had some relatives on my other side of my family that did it guerrilla grows in the East County, and I was always kind of around that side, and that was actually my first plants I grew were seeds from those because the original the grower had it. He had a big stash. He had a fairly big stash of seeds he brought back over from the islands, but then he was growing it, and it was grown in like a lean-to greenhouse in basically like suburban San Diego. So it always had to just like that like every ounce would have a couple seeds, and those accumulated over the while. And I I started growing. That's what I grew. As I grew, like I I didn't separate them. That they were always there's a scene. So when I grew them out, I didn't know what I was growing. It was just Hawaiian, but I grew that. That's was my first introduction for into growing. Was also kind of through my dad's when I was just out of high school. I grew. I started. I constructed a little. Uh, 4 foot wide, 20 foot long little greenhouse, kind of chicken wired up and make sure it was pretty ghetto, but I don't know, it worked. It's really funny thinking back at it. But I grew a lot of that Hawaiian seeds out and some stuff that we found from we had a pretty good not Hawaiian Mexican connection that we get coming up, living in San Diego we'd had a pretty some really good fresh stuff. You'd see some stuff that's not what you typically think of when you see Mexicans, like Mexican. We saw a lot of that brick dirt stuff too, but
So like it was like the green bud
yeah,
without the seed.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, you'd
Yeah.
see some. It'd be a little bit in there, but like yeah, it was not like it wasn't just super. It was amazingly good, and
Yeah.
and that's actually and then that's through my first breeding too was also just this is probably 91 92 was found was through some males some of the Mexican seed and then crossing that to other good Mexican and some of the Hawaiian and did that for quite a few more years and would grow in the greenhouse in the summertime get my get the fall harvest, kind of sell about half of it to my friends and stuff, and then I I was a snowboarder at the time, and I'd move for the first 4 years. It was Utah, and then a year in Colorado, and then went to Tahoe for a couple years after that. And what I do is just grow in San Diego in the summertime, and then like I said, get that so I'd have weed for the winter, and I just it was good, and so I'd be able to sell that in Ski Town at a pretty exorbitant price, and then just get a nighttime job part time and snowboard every day. I did that for about a decade.
Were you ever in Park City?
What? Yeah, actually, my first year in Utah, I lived half the year just outside of Park City. And my uncle lived there. He my dad's brother. He moved there and things. So I lived with him for a month or two. Then we moved into Park City for the rest of the winter. And then after that, we transferred into we started winter and down Sandy, just outside Snowbird was where we rode a lot.
Yeah, I know that area. I lived in Provo for a little while, and I used to work up in Park City at Sundance Institute. So it was film studio up there. Yeah.
All right.
But
so, then you know where Heber is. That's where actually I first
met
you.
I know. Yeah, Heber. I love Heber. It's just a little outside there. Yeah.
Actually, just outside of Heber, and it's even a smaller town called Midway.
Yeah, I've been to Midway.
Yeah. That's right. I live there, and it's beautiful there. It's an amazing little valley.
What's really nice is up there is it's like a different Utah up there. You know.
Yeah, it really is.
Down in the door. You know, it's different. It's a different people too up there. But yeah, it is beautiful. It's beautiful up there. I wish they changed their weed laws. I'd love to go back. Back over there.
Yeah, that's one of the years that I was living in Salt Lake City in Sandy. We had there was 3 of us living in the apartment, and we had and then we had for all our friends from California came out and visited us for 2 weeks, and we ended up getting evicted and kicked out because we were just normal. I guess just being loud wasn't even nothing typical, but our neighbors did a noise complaint, and we ended up getting arrested for minor possession and intent to cultivation. And
oh shit!
All they found though was just maybe a half gram of shake and some seeds and a corner that is just like the rest. It's funny thing is
some assholes though.
That
state is asshole when it comes to cannabis.
They busted 9 different people with the same possession charge for less then
A couple seeds and a gram.
yeah, and the funny thing, no, actually, I think they no, actually, I take that back. I think they did find like an eighth of weed, but the thing is every single one of us had a bag on us, and but it was and when the cops showed up, like it was just like sudden, and so like we just everyone like threw stuff on top, and it's like there was like maybe like a bag had just like a sleeping bag on it, and they had a drug dog. They had a drug dog go through our place, and the whole thing is just the whimpering the whole time. Is like because it's like it's everywhere. I don't know what to do, and but he couldn't find anything. It's pretty hilarious.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, Utah.
We actually got lucky because with all it wasn't even a lot that we had on us at the time. That was like our last winter, and I think I had already gone through what I had grown, but I don't know. We would have definitely got a lot bigger charge than what they found for sure. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah. I used to always tell friends that there was, snowboarding and skiing is, like we said, it's huge up there, and I'd always tell my friends like from the West Coast, like, hey, be careful. Utah is a different place, and they don't like weed. They just don't like it.
No.
Colorado now, they used to not like weed, but they were always a little bit more lenient than Utah. But like now it's full on, they have a full on game. They're just like a little miniature California, Actually, I think they might be doing better because I think they're not as saturated as us. But yeah, that's cool. But so when did actually like the idea to make your own seeds come into to play?
That was like 2009. I was like I had been like playing through some crosses here and there, and there was a clone shop in San Diego. They had been in PNC. I don't know if you remember them. Uh, they were in LA for a while too. The guy who was running it, Ape, he I brought him some cuts and some flour or stuff I did, and he just kind of like, hey, you should get in, you should do this, why aren't you make selling crosses? And there's just I just started and the thought never occurred to me, and so he probably got me into it, and actually like the first cross I brought to him actually was Xena. Actually, there was I brought him actually. It was at the time there was two cuts. The cross was originally named Warrior Princess, and there was two phenos, Xena and Gabrielle. Xena was by far it was stronger, a lot more pungent smoke, whereas Gabby, which turned to be Gabby, was a little bit more. It was a lot more finicky plant, but it had a lot more berry flavor. It wasn't as tangy as Xeno was, and it actually would have today. It would have been a lot more popular pheno in today's market because it was a lot darker. It had a lot of that same flavor, but it was a little bit more purple, and the I don't know. But I liked Xena was my preferred pheno, and that's actually why it was named for what it got that name, because the Xena was my dog's name. But yeah, so that was my first cross with Xena, the first one that got me I brought that to PNC, and I had some samples of both of them, and he told me, said, "Hey, you should get this doing," and he gave me at the time gave me a free use of his library, which was obviously really, really, really beneficial, and but also I guess a hindrance too, because I then let go of some of my stuff in my library at the time, and then thinking I could get it from the nursery whenever I want, but then they got busted, so lost a lot of my stuff that you thought you could get anytime from then. That
And
was the
that's
first.
this is all 215 days, right? This is
Yeah,
all
this
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the thing was, is that
Yeah.
it was like it wasn't. We weren't like things weren't really protected during that time. It was like, yeah, you can have this medical cannabis thing, and you can have all your patients' licenses and all this stuff, but still, if they decide they want to fuck with you, they can.
Yeah.
You know,
That's yeah.
just yeah, it sucked because there was a lot of there was like a lot of really good shit in LA that's just not there anymore.
Yeah, a lot. There was a lot that went away from that. That, and I was also through major busts. People depending on the nurseries. I was also 215 was great. It was the happy medium, because but it was when you had a lot of freedom, but it was that I think it was the beginning of when everyone stopped.
Yeah, freedom, and fuckery at the same time.
Yeah, because that's a lot of cuts too. Like, that's when I guess when passing of genetics, of untrue genetics, really became big, because it used to be back. I mean, back when you started. I mean, your name was, if what you was everything, and if you weren't, if you weren't, if you passed something and it wasn't what you said, then people aren't gonna fuck with you ever, and you got cut out of circles really quick. And then I think 215, when it became a little bit easier, people started guarding their stuff more and passing stuff. It was both. It was, I don't know. It's weird. I guess it was the transition period. I still think it was the golden period of cannabis.
Definitely. I mean, it really is what whether these other states. I mean, there's some other states, Washington and Colorado, that went recreational first, and there's Oregon that went recreational before us. But reality is that California built that foundation with 215. Like none of those other states would have even had their medical programs if California hadn't had its first. I don't think. I think California, just being as large as it is, like 38 million people.
Yeah.
And it's just a large thing, and like I think we set the foundation for that.
It was amazing in the first the festivals, and like 2017, 2018. Those are just that was the pinnacle, I guess, of the culture of cannabis. I have to say,
the High Times Cups were definitely much more fun back then. They were actually like legit festivals. I mean, you go to the High Time Cups and you'd see all your friends that you talk to on the forums and on the social media and the internet. You meet all the people you saw, all your old friends that you knew. Everybody would like come together. Everybody you knew was there,
exactly.
and high and chill.
People that you've only known by these secret screen names for 10 years, and then you finally meet
Yeah.
them and smoking, and then every booth has free dabs, and the weed is fire, and just and everyone's happy to be there, and just I need I the friends I made in those couple years I still have so I talk to a lot of those still to this day.
Yeah. So this the Xena, so that was basically your first strain,
Yeah.
essentially.
I made a couple before it, but it was my first one that I really I kept that I was kept, and I was proud to show it off.
So I guess we got to back up on that. We're because when we look at the breakdown, basically we're looking at if I have it right, it's green crack to Cindy 99 to WMD. And then when you look at WMD, that's fucking incredible across the Big Bud,
Yeah.
which is two like really amazing uh, uh, Vancouver, Canada strains, from British Columbia. Fucking incredible. I smoked that a lot in Seattle. Big Bud, that's kind of, to me, it's kind of, it's good. It's mids by today's standards, but fucking incredible still holds its fucking.
Yeah, the Big Bud was like the beginning of the commercializing things for yield.
yeah, for big yield. But the green crack, you were a fan of the green crack, I assume, and the Cindy.
Yeah. I really like the flavors of both a lot, and it just like in fact green crack, I think it's the only thing. I still think it's one of the most underrated strains. I think it gets so much hate, but I really like the flavor of it. It was always pulled really quick and early, and it's also so it has a short high, and I don't know, but I'm really sad at that. And actually, if more, it would have been a good one to mix in with I think it would have done really good in more crosses in today's cross and with in the concentrates. I just the flavor of it, the terps it's just one of mine, the ones I like. I keep going back to, and I just like it. Oh, I just like
Yeah,
like
green.
what?
I would say green crack is good. I had a fucked up experience where I grew a whole bunch of it one year, and then I took it to dispensaries, and they just looked at me like I was stupid. Like, why did you bring this here? Like the dispensary's like, this is LA. If it's not an OG, you better take that shit. Like get that shit out of here. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing bringing a sativa into my shop? You know, like people smoke it. That's why it's good.
Yeah, that's another reason that that cuts go away is because you can only keep so much in your garden, and then everything for years you could only sell OGs, and then it was only cookies, and then now it's
Kind of still cookies because whether you're calling it runch, gelato, sherbet,
yeah,
it's still cookies,
all that
still that
same.
gene pool.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, so the Xena. So then, did you work on? Did you find a male in that line, and you worked, cross different females into the Xena male, or how did that work?
I had a green I had a green crack WMD male. It was incredible male, but I didn't end up collecting too much pollen from it because at the time I was filming a skimboarding video, and I was traveling a lot to Cabo, and when it dumped when I was out of the country, and I came like my dad grew, but he never really did any breeding, and I was like, he just he was gonna collect some pollen for me when I was out in but he just like, no, it's not flowering, and but it obviously was but and I came back, and I got a little bit of pollen, just a little bit left off of it, and I crossed it with a C99, and I I only had 6 seeds off that cross, and then there's a couple others that I did that I can't even remember what they were anymore. But that was the because I made it with 2008, so and that was the only one that really stuck out at me. Because at the time I was just doing it for just to fuck around, because I had stopped growing for about 6 or 7 years, and I just got back into it, and it was just clubs had started getting around. Couldn't really find genetics there a lot. I didn't want to go back to my my old growing circle, just because I just lost touch with that, and that's kind of weird. But so I just I'd kind of gotten sick of the clone game at the beginning. I just wasn't either. You got stuff and it was just horribly infested, or it wasn't what they said it was. So I just started with seed again, and I had a few cuts that I knew what they were, and just had to work with those, and it just kind of oh, I just ADD'd out. I totally forgot what it was.
It's all good. So when you're breeding, do you breed with live males, or do you like to breed with do you like to collect pollen and then pollinate the plants individually?
I prefer using a live male, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll if I also like to see how I want to see it go all the way through. So sometimes when my breeding area is not ideal normally, so if it's I say I it's hard to describe. I try to sometimes I'll store it up, because what I didn't properly prepare the selections for it, and just by the I it didn't and just I didn't want to just cross it to just whatever was in there, and because I just didn't feel that male was gonna work when I was in there. So if that happens, I'll store it up, and then I'll either clone it for a second run and then use live plant. But normally times I'll just once I've seen that male and how it performed, and then I've seen how all the females of that, or whatever that F1 line was, how they've already flowered out. I have a better feeling of how it's gonna kind of how that is gonna look in a flower, and kind of guess how it's gonna breed out into the things. And more often than not, it wasn't gonna. Yeah, I just a lot of times I store pollen just so I feel like there's some.
When you store your that's cool. I understand. Yeah, I there's no right or wrong way. You know, storing the pollen, as long as it's viable, it's just as good as a live male. You know.
Yeah, no, I prefer using live mail too. It's just a lot of times
Yeah, yeah. If your timing is
I
not,
always
if
do make a few crosses with the live mail, but for some, more often than
no,
not,
but I totally understand. If the timing
yeah,
is not right, and
yeah,
you don't have those females prepared, if you don't have your females prepared and ready to go when that live male is ready to dump,
mm-hmm,
then you know your option is to collect. And I
yeah,
get it. You know.
yeah, and I just feel like and sometimes and it
Yeah.
like after like I said, after I've seen the females go, I just feel like maybe it could
Yeah.
use a little bit more of vigor or whatever. Just
How do you like to store your pollen?
I don't store my pollen ideally. I don't think because I said when I was coming up, very very few people that I knew when I was starting out were breeding. So I didn't do I didn't go on the forums until probably 2008, just because I was really sketched about it, because just I was always taught, keep.
We were all sketched.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your
We were all
world
sketched.
small. The smaller you keep
Yeah.
it, the safer it is. And it's like, um,
I used multiple different fucking names. Like after you get verified, and like I don't know, it was always a situation, and like it seemed like sometimes like people would start fighting with you,
yeah.
and like I changed my name, new account, new email. but yeah, but back then the forums, like there was different kinds of people in the forums. There was people in the forums back then that would like get pride in telling you the wrong information on purpose.
Oh
Like
yes, yeah.
they just thought it was funny to fuck somebody else up. And it's like, man. and like, you know, they didn't have pictures of the people and shit back then. Like it wasn't like Instagram now, right? It was like text. It's just text. So like you don't even know like who the fuck is telling you this shit. but but yeah, yeah, there was all kinds of those were different days. Those were like Wild West days.
Yeah.
Because like we didn't even have good books back then. Like we had some. I mean, I guess when like who was it? Was it Jorge Cervantes, the one that has the cannabis Bible? That's got like 300 pictures. Like every page is like a picture.
Yeah,
and like a
yeah.
description.
That was, I think, the first one. I remember.
Yeah, that was the first cannabis book I picked up, and I'm like, I need to buy this. Because whether people say it's shit knowledge or not, there was good information in there, and I learned a lot from that book. You know, because before that period, it was all just kind of guessing and hoping that I did the right thing. And sometimes stuff would turn out good, and sometimes it didn't. Because back then, like I'd ask my mom, but like she's like hippie style growing. You know, like she grew weed when I was growing up, but she wasn't growing it for any kind of weight. She was just growing it to have a little bit of shit to smoke, to roll up and smoke, you know? And
yeah, see, that was the same thing with my dad. Is he grew it, but it was like it was very small time just for himself. And
yeah, you know, so, and who knows, it's probably like, well, I guess I asked my parents and they told me they were smoking a lot of Colombian back then. They were in Louisiana and New Orleans. So I guess the Colombian is what they told me they got. They said they really didn't see the Panama Red. They really didn't see that. They saw more Colombian. Panama Red was more rare. But I guess depending on where you are in the country, some people may have gotten that more. I just wish that people would have saved some of those brick seeds from the brickweed, because that brickweed, there was probably a bunch of landrace seeds in that brickweed there's probably all kinds of like Oaxacan and who knows, different, just different Mexican sativas, equatorial sativas. Maybe there might have even been Colombian in there. We don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that stuff, like, that stuff wasn't growing proper. I mean, some of that stuff got you really high, but just imagine if it was grown with proper techniques, right? Proper, pheno hunting and proper techniques. Like, I bet there's some awesome shit in there. And I bet a lot of the weed back then, like the brickweed that was real racy and like, it's because it was cut early, right? They were probably equatorial sativas, and they were probably cut at like 10 weeks instead of 16.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was just a little, like, you got real speedy. There's a lot of which I wonder if it had CBG. I wonder if it was high in CBG, if that was causing that. I don't know. My brain, I'm getting stoned too. But anyway, back on track. So you had Xena. That's one of your hit ones. When I came across the Xena the first time, my buddy turned me on to it. He gave me a cut, through a virtual. We had like this mutual friend connection, and I got it, and I didn't want it at all. I wasn't interested. He told me what it was. He said green crack, and I was like, I don't want it. Because I had an experience earlier, like I was saying. I went to the dispensary years before, and they laughed at me, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing bringing this green crack? So I'm like, I can't smoke enough of it myself, so I don't know. But then my buddy's like, just grow it. Just grow it, you'll see. So I grew it, and I got these giant giant ass buds. Sativa, but giant ass bud, huge, right?
Yeah.
They smell amazing. I have some videos and pictures. It's like, I should have them on here, but I can't find them right now. I know I have some picture. I know I have some video on my own YouTube channel of the first time I grew it, but I didn't know how to grow it properly. Each time I grew it, it just got better and better. But it's dead on, like, it's like a sweeter version. To me, this is the way I would describe it: a sweeter version of green crack, because of the Cindy brings like a sweetness to it, right? But it's got all of the like fucking punch that the fucking Incredible brings. So it's got that sativa high, like that soaring sativa rush, like that, I don't know, just like that sativa jolt, right? It's got that, but then it's got like some fucking punch behind it because it has the fucking Incredible in it. So like, to me, it's like, I think that should have been your fucking entry in the High Times Cup. I know AC/DC Cookies is great, but that should have been your fucking entry.
I think we did enter. Actually, my very first. Oh shoot!
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
2015 in some San Diego Cups, and it won. Oh shoot! I can't find it, but it was the very first San Diego Cup ever. It was in 2015, and I entered that and I won. And I have. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm back.
Gotcha. I see. And I did enter it a couple times. We did enter it once in High Times too. We entered that one in our Antoinette.
Antoinette is fucking awesome. Now
we were actually told by a couple people. Like I had actually, after we entered it into it, I had been DM'd. I got so many DMs on people that were judges that wanted that cut, and there's someone like this, like, and then like, or someone like that either they had that were a judge in that kit, or they were told someone, they're like, I was told that is the cut that I need, that's the OG, and just, and we even had someone tell us that we should have won with it, but they couldn't have given me two awards because I was too small, and we didn't sponsor or get a booth that
Yeah, yeah,
or anything, so they
yeah.
couldn't give us
Buy
two awards.
sponsorship.
So we won with ACDC cookies.
Yeah, the ACDC cookies was good. That's basically, what is that? Is that ACDC to the form, or what is that? Or the
Yeah,
platinum cookies?
no, uh,
Form. Yeah, because you
I believe that one is for him. It's been so long. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was for him.
yeah, we got that here. So this is the so you guys that are watching, you don't know, MedTree, he won what two or three times with this ACDC cookies.
Yeah, we got 2 firsts and then 1 second, and that was in some like a where they had all the winners compete one year, and it was I guess it was called the World Cup.
The World Cup, that's nice. But yeah, this AC, look at that. For a CBD strain, guys, look at that. That's fucking beautiful. But yeah, that was good. And then there was you guys did some releases. I think you did some crosses, right? At one point with ACDC cookies.
Yeah.
Because I used to go into Brown Dog a lot, and they were at one point they had a little glass shelf off to the side there, and had a bunch of a bunch of crosses in it. And yeah, I used to talk to what's his face. Was it Brandon? Is that what his name was?
Brendan.
Brendan. It's been a while. I forget the name. Yeah. But yeah. There was quite a bit of stuff. The one that I did grow was a Susie Q. It was like a Tosi Susie Q something. It was like it was one of the CBD ratio ones. It was like a 20-to-1 or something crazy like that. But it was mostly CBD.
Okay.
But yeah, and there was like an orange Antoinette, I believe. Orange.
Yeah. I
Orange.
remember.
Yeah, that was another really good one. Antoinette made good rosin for me. I like the rosin that it made. The ACDC cookies, I never got to smoke that one. I did vote on it that year though, in 2018.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I saw it, and I just voted based on the visuals, and I was like, oh, I know these dudes. Yeah, that was cool. You guys had like a buddy or a friend that year. It was like Bosky Genetics.
Yeah.
Is that does he grow any of your stuff, or is completely he's got his own stuff?
He's got his own stuff.
Yeah, because he had some really good flower that year that he had at his booth.
He's an extremely talented grower. He's I've actually wanted. He's just got a pretty big operation in Central California that that he's been working on for a little over a year. They just got online. Oh, actually, not just online. I think they got their first harvest. I'd literally like to try his stuff out.
Yeah, I just started following him again on Instagram because I'd lost. I don't know. I was following him a long time ago, but I don't know what happened. But recently, yeah, his stuff looks amazing.
Yeah, no, he's a very extremely talented grower.
So you have this other strain that was really popular, and to me, it's another one of like my personal favorites to smoke that I haven't smoked it in like 4 years now, called Slurrum. Can you tell us about the Slurrum?
Oh shoot. I can't even remember the genetics on that. Yeah, wait. I need to have it in front of me. It's
Are you on Seed Finder? Let's see if you're on Seed Finder. I
no,
don't know if
I don't
you're on
think I
Seed
am.
Finder. You need to get on Seed Finder. Then we can look all this junk up. And
I have a note somewhere, but I didn't get prepared, so I didn't. I do know that it was. I was using.
Asking about strains that are ancient. Yeah, so it says cherry slurm. Okay, it's cherry slurm, cherry pie times PSA pheno.
I know. I was using the ether pheno of Alien Dog, and then I'm pretty sure. That's platinum cookies back cross one, which was two that I crossed it to the alien dog, and it was that's one of the one I wish that that's a male I really wish I would have kept. The
Alien dog.
no
Yeah.
platinum cookie is a back cross platinum cookies, and the out cross was a blackberry. It was a blackberry that was crossed to WMD. And so it was a blackberry that had a little bit more punch than blackberry normally does, and
Yeah.
it just gave the things a little bit some a lot. It was a really good breeder. It when I everything it touched, it was really good. It was the slurm was a good cross, and then it made when I crossed it back to it was the one that I will cross it back to platinum cookies, and it created a black leaf dirty sprite. I don't know if you're familiar with that cut.
What was the cut called?
Dirty sprite from black leaf.
No, dirty sprite. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that next.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
I believe that was a platinum GSC pheno that was named.
That was the back cross too. And what he found is he found a pheno that leans, that has a little bit of that blackberry, but it has a little bit of blackberry, but then it has still that WMD in there just a little bit, and that's
yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, I really.
Dirty Sprite was popular for about for a couple of years there.
Yeah.
You would see it in posts and people talking about it on social media. But yeah, but yeah, you had that. Let's see, the ACDC, the Slurm, the Xena. There was some other good stuff. Man, like I'm saying, you need to get on Seed Finder because you've won cups, you've done some really good stuff, and outside the West Coast, like a lot of people just don't know, right? They just don't know, and they need to know, and they need to grow your stuff, and you need to expand.
Yeah.
You got good stuff, So I want to ask you about this. I was looking on your website, and you got some stuff on here that's intriguing. Tell me what boats and hose is.
Oh, boats and hose is actually, that one is not mine. It's one of my I did the cross. The mother to that was a Catalina wine mixer, which was platinum cookies crossed to Mind Meld, which was a cousin to Xena. It was it was actually, it was the Blackberry WMD was Mind Meld. And
Nice.
anyway, so the Catalina wine mixer was crossed to terpene from Icy Mag. Crossed took that. I gave him my mother, and he crossed it to Panama and that's a Panama. Oh, Guatemalan cross. I think it's Panama Guatemalan, and then so that actually isn't my cross, but I do have that on there because he gave me his seeds because he's a closet grower. He's extremely talented, but he doesn't really want anything to do with that. He just breeds and grows for a hobby. He's part of I met him. He's part of this San Diego crew. Do you know this? Back in the forum days, the IC Mag when it was heyday, there was a cut, a thread called San Diego's Finest Cuts.
Oh no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I wasn't familiar with that one.
Well, anyways, it was a thread that went on there for multiple years, and it spawned basically a kind of a group of hobbyist breeders and growers. Some that have moved on to fairly large operations. Some that have just stayed as just growing as their part-time, what they like to do when they're not working.
Yeah. So you had some cuts. You had some Chem D, Chem 4, some Sourdough. There was like Chem Sis. There was all these really awesome shit that was at Brown Dog. Was that stuff hunted from seeds, or was that collected at various times, locations, spots?
Mostly connected. Some of that was seed. I think I did definitely offer a lot of my own found selected cuts there. So a lot of it was through hunted through sources.
Yeah, because you had like for instance the Chem D and the Chem 4. I always wondered if those were the original clone onlys or were those from Cali Connection stock?
No, those were definitely pre-Cali Connection.
Good. Yeah, that's good to know. Good to know they're original. Nothing against Swerve, but
no.
nothing against Swerve. Swerve does good work.
Yeah, he does. He definitely made a really good living. On those genetics, but there's definitely the original cuts aren't the same as those. But that was the first. That was a lot of the. I don't want to knock it because that's the first. I guess the way OG and chems were in reach with a lot of people. If you didn't have if you didn't know people that were doing it before it was legal, then it was really hard to get those.
Do you know where you got your Mindo Breath F3 cut? I got that from there and it was amazing.
I don't. I got that cut at one of the, I don't know who I got it from, but I got that at a High Time show, and I can't remember.
Yeah. Delayed dabs coughs. Yeah, you had some good stuff there though. So boots and hose. Is this a line you're going to be making, or is this it looks like you did Rainbow Sherbet 11 to the boots and hose.
I've crossed it a couple times. It's I did I've done a few things for it. Some of that's stored. Some of that was like the last project I did at Brown Dog, and then I stored pollen from that project because I did a run there, and that was think that got pulled at week. We had to pull it down at week 9 or 10. The flowers, it wasn't quite there because it was probably a 12-week strain. Though at least most
So,
it was there was a couple that could have been there was a couple phenols that could have been done in 10, but it should have been. It was still. It's still the Botan Hose is still an extremely sativa dominant strain, but
so you
it was
you
but it still had some of the cookie characteristics.
you I want to go back a little bit in time. So
Okay.
you were in San Diego area for a while then, it sounds like.
Yeah,
San Diego
that's where I
County.
grew up, in San Diego.
So when did you first see OG Kush as a name strain, like in either 215 or on the street or anywhere? When do you think the first like if you had to think about it?
I want to say 2007, 2008, maybe. It was right before I started growing again. But I had seen OG Kush up in Tahoe. I had a friend that was growing it, but it wasn't called OG Kush back in like 2000. But it was OG Kush. It was definitely
Yeah.
OG Kush. But it was just I don't even. I think it was. I think he was just calling it Kush, but it might not even. I can't even remember. It might not even been that for a while. It was something else too. But that's Tahoe was completely different. That was when going
Yeah,
from.
because see, there's a lot of people that like to make different claims about this OG Kush, and it's like I think like Josh D, like he probably legitimately did bring it into the scene.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't,
no.
I don't disagree with that, but
I,
people saying like 91 Florida OG, I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I was never in Florida to know about that, so don't know.
See, that's the one thing is I'm not going to doubt anyone's claims either because I wasn't around. I wasn't any connected to scenes at that time.
Yeah.
Well, I've been part of little circles, but not at OGs. But nobody in the claimed they were part of those circles. But I just know that I had a friend that was grown. It was OG Kush. It was just I remembered it so many years. Like when I saw it when it was named, I was like, oh, that's what we were smoking in Tahoe, and it's just. But I think yeah, I remember one at time. I think I'm pretty sure it was called Kush at one time, but it wasn't. He didn't even have to. It wasn't even named at the time because it just was just the best that it was beyond everything that we were able to get there in Tahoe at the time, and we did have we had a pretty good connection with Trainwreck at the time too there. So
The Arcadia train wreck.
yeah, I had friends that were from Grass Valley that were awesome that knew people that they knew the Trainwreck people through they were whitewater guides, and so they knew
So
the people groups that
what's the real story? What's the real story on the train wreck? Was it named because it makes you feel like you're in a train wreck, or was it actually growing in an old train, or on an old site of a train wreck, or do you know? Because I've heard all kinds of fucking silly stories about train wreck over the years.
I didn't. They did say the Trainwreck story, but I think when even then it was kind of like I was told it was kind of that story was mocked even way back then. But I was told I remember hearing that and they said something, but That was more than likely anything that's probably is with a cover story to kind of
Yeah,
get.
I don't think I. I mean, the train cart story could be possible, but that's not a lot of weed.
No, because there was because there was a lot of that, a fair amount of that back in the day. I mean, because in Tahoe it was red. I mean, that was what you got, and I know it's spread throughout. I mean, most of Northern California, and even back then, there was a lot of people smoking,
Yeah.
and not nearly as many people producing. So, yeah.
Yeah, the train wreck was great though. I remember when that came around. For me, it might have been late. It was probably like 2004, five, something like that. Um, but it was really good when I get that stuff. For a little bit, like I was able to get that in like decent quantity. It was consistent. It was like really good. It was good shit. It was from NorCal, so they were growing it. Well, yeah, it was always like Arcata. Like, make sure you get the Arcata, Arcata 32 or Arcata, something like that. It's been a while. That was good stuff though back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why no one ever really bred with that. The only person I ever really seen that was sort of, on the big scale is TGA Subpool, TGA Seeds. They did a time wreck, which was like a train wreck cross.
I remember that. I remember that cross.
Yeah, and that time wreck, that was amazing. They had phenos that would turn from dark purple to black, like as black as your shirt. And like it was healthy. It wasn't dead. It was just black. It was just there's so much anthocyanin. It was just black. But yeah, those were cool. However, that doesn't always equal or transfer to potency. A
Yeah.
lot of anthocyanin. A lot of times the weed is not as strong. Um, at least
Yeah.
that's what I found. You know,
I definitely prefer green weed myself.
yeah. I mean, you can have a green pheno and a purple pheno, and the purple pheno will have like so much bag appeal, just look beautiful, but the green pheno will just smoke better. Just you're gonna get higher. But purple weed, purple weed is it looks good in bags.
Yeah, it
Um,
sells. It sells, and it's a lot of time. It's gonna be hard to bust that trend just because of the way that weed is sold. It's all sold behind a counter, and the only you could if and, sometimes you could see. I guess with Mylar you can't even see it. So
yeah, that's the thing. Is like so. Yeah, pretty much here in California, at least, because a lot of people watching probably aren't here. We pretty much you can either get it in a glass jar or you can get it in a Mylar pack, and neither of those you can smell it. And very few dispensaries will actually buy a sample to have a sample available. They're just too cheap. So if they have a sample available, then you can smell that sample. But then again, that sample's been opened 35 times today, and people have touched it, and it's just not the same. So, not
yeah,
not a good example anymore. but but yeah, back in the day, it used to be in the jars, and they'd weigh it out fresh for you. And I don't know how dispensaries would keep the stuff fresh unless they sold it really fast back then, because those jars were getting opened 35 times a day too.
yeah, they definitely were.
Or more. So, but I guess things turned over pretty quick back in the 215 days, I guess.
Yeah, that was the thing in Brown Night is when we were doing the jars, you'd try to even a jar, you'd measure it out to where you'd hopefully it was gonna be like just a day's go. You should hopefully go through that jar in a day, if not two, and then you have a bigger jar.
What do you think about testing? It seems like there's no two labs where you can get a consistent test. You take the same bud to, 4 labs and get 4 tests.
Yeah. Testing. I guess it gives you a general kind of sense. It's just, yeah, there's no consistency, and oh, I don't know. And then it just varies, and it's even if they do, once we do have a statewide lab, I mean a state mandated, I guess, right, set of regulations, and then I guess once it'll be a little bit better. But it's just even then, it's not what the consumer's getting is not the same, because if you get if you're it all depends on what the samples of the lab takes, and that itself is even if there's everything's totally even across the board, it still will be a favoritism thing, because they don't always take the same a representative sample of what the actual batch is, and so it's just there's just no consistency, and even if when we do get to consistency, I also think it's kind of overrated, because it's it's built too much of a dependence on THC, when that's not the end all of the effect, in my opinion, at least. Because anything when you start getting to relying on a lot of the cuts that
Yeah, I think that's the number one problem right now is that
is, yeah,
most
there's only you can
most
only put
most people like people like are watching the show, or people like you and I, and people that are really like kind of weed nerds, so to speak. Like, we know, but the average person is not a weed nerd. They don't know what the word terpene is. They've never heard of terpenes. So the idea that you tell them, oh, this plant's got some more myrcene in it, or it's got some more ocimene or limonene, they have no idea what the hell that shit means, right? It means nothing to them. The average bud tender, you walk in there, and it's just basically they hire a beautiful woman, and she's just, would you like an indica or a sativa? Are you looking for a hybrid? Like, that's not,
yeah.
you know. And then at the same time, you can't expect your bud tender to be a doctor. That's not fair either, right? So, there's not a really happy medium there where like the public is educated enough to know what they're looking for, and where the bud tender is educated enough to educate the public to let them know what they're looking for, right? So, I mean, there are some people out there like this Ganjier program, like it's quite expensive, but I think its intention is very good, because it's educating people that are going to go into the field, and they are educating them on terpenes. They are educating them on different types of structures of plants, and growths of plants, and flower cycles, and aromas, and all, history, and a lot of they it's not a bullshit program. It's just expensive. That's the only problem with that one. But
Yeah.
I think as time goes on, that'll be more commonplace education like that, and it'll be better, because right now, average person walks in the dispensary, and they're looking for 30% or better on flour, and they're gonna buy their, let's say ice cream cake, for instance. We'll pick on Sea Junkie for a second. They buy their ice cream cake, and it says 32%. Well, it gets them high, it tastes good, it smokes good, but guess what? They're smoking more of it in 10 minutes because they're not high anymore. But that 15% Kim Dog, smoke that shit, you get so high you forget the pipes in your lap. You sit up, you break the pipe, and you're going to go eat some munchies, and you're going to be high for 2 hours. So there's definitely, like you said, terpenes and different minor cannabinoids also very underestimated, right?
Yeah.
CBG, CBC, CT, CB, yeah, all these minor cannabinoids, also very overlooked, or not even focused or mentioned on, right? Um, it turns out, like CBN, for instance, right? That comes after THC basically degrades at a certain point, 30 days or so it starts, and eventually it'll degrade and turn into CBN. Well, that's got a very, that's got its own medicinal effects, right? For being sedative. Like maybe you want to go to sleep at night, right? Maybe you want to smoke some weed. It's high in CBN, but now you're seeing gummy bears, CBN and melatonin.
See, when we're talking about the variety of cannabinoids and that aspect, I do like testing because it shows you the presence of
Yeah,
different cannabinoids, which because I do believe those are the reason I guess knocking testing more is just because it's the reliance on THC only. I think it's
yeah,
it's robbing us
yeah.
of a lot of those other
If you get a
cannabinoids.
full panel test, if you get a full panel test, and it tells you all your terpenes and your cannabinoids and your, how much fucking pesticide residue and all that shit is in there. That's awesome. But a lot of people, that's not what they're looking for on the package. They're walking in and they're just looking at the bottle and they're looking to see if it says 30% or 32%, and yeah, it's not necessarily the greatest, not the best way. If you were buying anything else in life, that's not the way you would buy it. you
Yeah.
know, Except maybe alcohol. I guess, if you wanted really strong alcohol, you might buy it by percentage, but which proof or whatever. But that's it. You know, there's like there's a lot of great weed that's like, not even 20% THC that gets you incredibly ripped and stoned, and you know,
Yeah.
dispensaries and people aren't gonna, commercial scene's not gonna grow those strains anymore because if they put it on their shelf, it doesn't sell. So then what happens is those strains die out, right? Like, and then, or we get back to his labs and they falsify shit and they'll be like, oh, Cinderella 99, 32%. It's like, what? Like, it used to be 16. What happened? you know, shit like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the future. What do you think is going to happen? You think this federal thing's going to happen soon? Like, there's some stuff in the news lately about it going a little, the next process happening to make it federally legal. And then if they do, like, whose model are they going to use? Are they going to use are they going to pick one of the state's recreational programs to be like, oh, that sounds like a good way to go? I mean, how is it going to be? Are they going to allow home grow? Like, it's all going to be a metric, probably, I imagine. But
yeah, I imagine.
I don't know. I just don't know how. I don't know how that regulation would happen.
Yeah,
Because
it's gonna be tricky for sure. It's one of those things that I've dreamt about for so many decades and don't know if I entirely want anymore. I do,
well,
but I just know I'm after being working in the industry a little bit. The California industry. I'm unfortunately think we're gonna follow our lead a little bit, or even worse, to let home grows and I don't know. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
no, I'm thinking they'll follow us because we're the biggest.
Yeah. Although
But
they might not, because I mean, it has been more national news lately on how bad we fucked it up.
yeah, and I guess Colorado, I don't think they fucked their program up. I think they're still good, and I think Michigan's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know if any of those programs are the opportunity, the most perfect program, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it's
I
just
mean, I'm
it's
just glad.
sad.
I'm
It's
glad. I'm glad we can grow some plants. You know, I'm glad we still
yeah.
have medical to some extent. It's not
I,
like it
I
used to be.
yeah. I really do miss. I wish our recreational model could have mirrored our medical model a little bit better. I think it would have. I don't know. And there's just a,
Yeah,
it just there's quite a few things I mean, I understand the reason for a lot of it, but a lot of it I just think even before besides the overtax thing, I just don't just I guess the overtax thing just made it compounded all the other problems. But it just made the over to where the margins are just so small and like it was just crazy because anyone that doesn't grow weed thinks it's a very profitable but lucrative industry when it isn't anymore. And so you lose out on all those niche types of varieties of cannabis, and it killed it killed the medical market. Like it's now you could get CBD in any um corner store, but you really can't get like 215 was there was starting to emerge products like medical products of all sorts, and not just the CBD, but they started the CBG and CBC products that just started coming in, and you're actually get stuff that could actually might have been actually medicinally useful, and it just
yeah, yeah.
what
Absolutely, has medicinal uses. Yeah,
and yeah 100%. And that and uh once the rec came and it just killed that. You can't. I mean, you could get CBD tinctures, but it's it's a watered down product, and it's just it's just that you're not getting a lot of the different compounds. And I'm a huge proponent of the entourage effect. That was the whole thing. Is when I came is I always saw the most effect was like mixed ratio CBDs. CBD THCs when you have the different cannabinoids in there, and you're getting
remember this one,
yeah from
the Mary's formula tincture. This one's got CBG, CBD, CBN, THC, and THCA.
ah
It's a 44211.
okay
Yeah. This camera sucks. But yeah, I like ratios too. Um, chasing the THC ratio is like um, an illusion. Let's just say that it's an illusion. You're chasing the rainbow. You're looking for the gold at the end of the rainbow that's not there,
yeah
because there's so much more to the spectrum, and you can only see one color
yeah
of the rainbow.
and there's only
You can only see one color. There's a bunch of colors,
you
and
can only
you're like THC is just this one little fucking minor band of the rainbow, right? And there's all these other colors that do all these other amazing things, but you can't see them. You don't know nothing about them because your mind is focused. It's got to be 30% THC. Well, if it's 30% THC, that's 30% by weight, by volume, by weight. So of the matter, of the physical matter that's there, you're telling me 30% of that physical matter is THC, which I don't believe in the first place. And then how much room is left for other cannabinoids and terpenes? Because you got to have room for the chlorophyll, and you got to have room for all the other stuff that make it a plant, right? Like how much of that material can really
yeah
strange argument, strange thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think the testing, they need to figure out some baseline where all labs can agree that, you know, basically, however, I don't know. There's probably not a lot of corporations that make the equipment. So basically, you'd say, if you're using such and such equipment, the calibration is this, and this is equal to this other machine's calibration, and like have some standard where labs like follow. So, if you test it in SC labs and you take it over to, the guy in Cathedral City that always has really high tests, and don't want to mention his name, but he has really high tests. Then why aren't they the same? Because I can understand like what was it like a it's plus or minus, well, you can have 10%, but that's too much. That's too much.
That's really
Uh,
huge.
yeah, that's huge. I can understand a smaller percentage of ratio. Like if one lab said 21 and one said 23 or something, right? But if one's like 21 and the other one's like 32, somebody didn't do something right. And it's probably the guy that did the 32, you know. But yeah, it's the sales numbers thing. The concentrate, though, on the other hand, has gotten a lot better over the years in the recreational and since medical. Like
Oh,
in medical days, like
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
pretty gruesome.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
gruesome, you know. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I seen straight soup, BHO soup in some dispensaries back in the day, and like they're trying to sell it as like it was something like it was gold, you know. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't think it should be all running like that. Like, I don't think it should spark when I dab it. I actually had bought stuff that like sparked and lit up when I dabbed it. I'm like, no, that's like, oh, always trying to blame it. Well, your torch was too hot. Your banger, your back then was your titanium nail is too hot. It's like, no, it wasn't too hot. Nothing else does that. Nothing else sparks up like that, you know. But yeah, there's
Yeah, I got actually pretty lucky is when one of the first clubs in San Diego who I ended up I was a caregiver for. Um, it was when Xena was fresh. They did really good. They had a closed loop CO2 system, and they were really good at it back in the day. And
yeah, a lot of it just was like
but yeah,
there was
yeah.
like a lot of people didn't know how to purge, right? I think that was part of it. And then you had a lot of like just people that didn't know what they were doing, where they were just taking tubes and butane cans and blasting into Pyrex dishes and
I know
being really
more than
big.
a couple people that did
Yeah, yeah.
that.
But then there was other people that had even a little more advanced routes where like they'd have like semi-closed loops with like ice traps on the side. They would use dry ice, and there was all sorts of different methods. But I had a friend up in Seattle that got like one of the first charges for blowing up an apartment building. Like he did like 4 years for it. So to me, it was like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. So I
Yeah.
just so I always just kind of, that's why you guys would see me so much buying
Yeah.
it. Because I was okay with rosin, but it's like I don't have a harvest all the time to press all my shit, right? Plus, it was like there was also this point that where it was like I could donate my flower to somebody, and I can buy more rosin than if I could press off of my own ounce. So maybe I should donate this ounce to somebody so they can donate me something, and then I'll buy more rosin. Because like you just you don't get a giant return from when you squish it. Like hydrocarbon, you get a giant return, but
Yeah.
you get. But when you squish stuff, it's a different situation. And then a lot of the stuff that I've really like, I enjoy making. I would make bubble hash first, and so then the return's even less, right? Because I'm making the bubble hash, and then I'm squishing like the 90U and the 120, and it's really nice and pure, and it tastes delicious. But how much you get versus what you started with in the first place is like a big difference. But yeah, and again, at the same time, like you don't really see 90 and 120U at the dispensary too often. Very not very many people that are making full melt bubble and shit in the rec market. I mean, it does exist, but it's rare. We got Looney in chat. Speaking of Hawaii, he's on Kauai. Looney Productions. Anybody grow your stuff in Hawaii? Speaking of Hawaii,
yeah, I have my CBD stuff was I had quite a few people actually were growing it there for a while. Not a whole lot, but a few minutes.
is your ACDC still running? You still have that? You still have the ACDC cookies alive, or is it
No,
dead? It's dead.
I looked for it for a while back, but it was one of the cuts that I had lost at through the brown dog. Is where we finally lost when we got when revoked our license is we still had plants growing at the old location, and they basically gave us like 12 hours to dispose of everything. And I lost it. Just like
I'd actually heard a rumor about that, and I didn't think that was true.
Yeah,
that,
no,
plants were
we were
growing
still
upstairs
growing
and some shit.
like,
The cops came.
at the end of our inspection, they said, "Well, you guys still have the plants growing at the other old spot, right?" And they're like, and like, well, no, we shut down pretty much everything except for just like we had a bunch of clones in one room. We're just like we just have clones. We're keeping them. We actually still had the license there. It was still good. But it expired basically 12 hours after our final inspection, because we only had, once you do a move, your old license expires in 60 days, and that 60 days was 12 hours, and everything's on, and they let us know that it's all on camera, obviously,
yeah,
we had to destroy. It felt like a legal raid, because we did everything by the books, and just, I don't know. It was heartbreaking. It was one of the most devastating moments of my life. I had lost.
You couldn't do like transfer it to somebody else in metric, like give them the joy or something. Give the cuts.
No. Well, we just didn't have time to do it. We had 12 hours to do it, and
yeah.
And yeah, I was just based at that time, was hoping I could get whatever I could back, and haven't seen really much of it. Which there's some of it's still out there, though. Actually, that's not true. I have Antoinette back, so
that's good.
Yeah. And
I have Xena, but she's kind of fucked up.
What?
So I have Xena, but she's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my Xena crosses. It might be my Xena Leroy cross. It's better. It's like, hang on. When I cross Xena to Leroy OG, it's like 100% Xena. Like, it's like almost like Leroy didn't. He's not there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like wow. But you got but yeah, it's all the Xena smell and taste. Still gets big. But yeah, I'll share some stuff with you.
Okay.
Because I think you need those Xena crosses at least to explore.
Yeah,
You
for
might
sure.
find something if you find something you like in there, fucking cross it, that Slurm to Xena, I want that. I want that. I want a freaking. I know there might be something in there. There might not. It's hard to say. Like you
I
say,
think there is. I just did a very small selection, and even though I only I took I flour I finished 4 of them, and they weren't horrible. It just wasn't entirely what I was hoping I was looking for in it. But I do think it was there. I just needed to do a little bit bigger uh
so
hunt.
Slurm definitely exists because I think you guys at one point, I don't, or maybe it was Brown Dog, but they had gifted it to Raw Garden, and
Yeah,
Raw
no, yeah,
Garden
raw
still
gardens.
they
I,
still they still grow Slurm.
I actually think they hunted. I think they found that through a pack of my seeds. Their cut.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Oh, is that how they got it?
yeah.
I see. Well, they have a really nice Slurm, and then they'll mix like different oils, so they have like a chocolate Slurm that's fucking just delicious. I pick that up every once in a while. They have a cherry Slurm that I really like, and that just kind of made me think. I'm like, yeah, if I had the Slurm, I could cross cherry pie to it, or I could cross this other grape thing I made to it, or this other like, because it is good. Like, I don't think anybody, if you're not in Southern California, you probably never got Slurm.
I still have a grip of those seeds too. They're just I need to wait. I'll try one of the new tissue culture techniques or something with it because they're just so old and I had moved so many times to storage. They weren't stored great.
Dried out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could try some of that geralic acid and see if that helps, that GA3. Um, I heard that, I've heard some people pull off some magic with that. Like seeds from the 80s popping, like that's crazy. Um, but then again, it's like you hear about things like weird stuff like I don't know, what was it? Maybe 20 years ago, there was like a Buddha in, was it Afghanistan or something? There was some Buddha that basically, or China, they found. And in the hand of the Buddha was like some cannabis, and there's seeds inside that. And like supposedly they can, some scientists are able to germinate those. So if they can germinate like 1,000-year-old seed,
Yeah.
there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to do it. You know, obviously we're not doing something right. There's got to be some kind of way to put the hormones back into the seed, or put or put a hormone into the seed and induce it to go. Because there's got to be a way to do that. Um, yeah, I'm not saying Jurassic Park style, but I think Jurassic Park style is like people have this concept that like Phylos was going to steal their plants by taking a dead stem that you send them and do like some Jurassic Park shit and like recreate a plant from the stem or from the genoplasm that they extracted out of the stem. Which I guess I'm laughing about it. I guess it's all possible, but the amount of money that would take and the amount of science and whether or not we have that science, I don't know if there's a cannabis company that has that science at hand. Um, the government probably could do it, but they don't give a fuck about that strain. You know, what is Kim Dog to the government? Speaking of government strains, when did you first hear about G13?
That was I, I don't know. That was probably what, mid 2000s, maybe late two. That one came on the. That one, I think that one came up. That one came on board. I remember probably when I was out of it. I went through a period where I just didn't. I was just not out of the scene for about 10 years after I stopped. And I lived in on and off in Cabo, Mexico for a while.
Mm.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cabo sounds fun though.
Yeah, it was. It was. I liked it a lot.
Were you in Cabo in the 90s or early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s. What were you doing? Surfing?
Yeah, surfing and skimboarding and videotaping and just yeah, just a little bit of everything. I remember, and back. Oh gosh. Although no, actually,
Did you have much problems there? Did it seem pretty safe?
when I was there, it was pretty safe. It was it's kind of the same thing as anywhere. As long as you mind your own business and don't stay out of everyone else's, you're not gonna get fucked with.
Yeah.
Or just don't do stupid shit. You know.
That's usually how it is anywhere. It's usually a lot of crime is somebody fucked over somebody. It's like some directly related correlation.
Yeah.
Usually random.
Yeah.
You see the cartel shit on the movies and it scares you.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, so you just mind your own business, you stay out of it.
Some of the stuff I saw in Breaking Bad, I'm like, man, liquefying you in fucking 50-gallon drums doesn't sound very good way to go.
Yeah, no, that's I lived down there. I actually I did get approached once by I had one of my friends that was local down there. He was I think just like I think it's just like something stupid. I think it's like a driver, but he was a driver for somebody. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like he like, oh yeah, you grew up in the States, do you want to come we got a warehouse. Do you want to come and help and show us and set us up for us? And I was like, nope. all the power to you. I hope you do great things with it, because the weed down there was horrible. But I want nothing to do with it. I don't want to see it. Don't want to know where it's at. Sorry.
I'm trying to see if you're on this website still. This guy always has your stuff. I'm kind of surprised I'm not seeing it on there. I'm looking at Oregon Elite. You haven't stalked him in a while, I guess, huh?
No, I haven't stalked him. I stepped away from breeding for a while, and then I didn't really step for. I just wasn't doing it commercial for a while. As I was still always doing a little bit here, but I was doing rec flower for a while and didn't have a spot for breeding. The spot and I just haven't. I'm getting ready to do another drop again. But I'm waiting. I need enough stuff that I've tested first. I'm not gonna just throw 100 seeds 100 different crosses out there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Do you have a? What are you kind of looking for when you do your male selections? Is it based on something traits that you like in a strain, or do you have like a particular set of like traits that you like to look for, or? Like how do you do your male selection usually? Like
it kind of almost depends on what the male is like. It's whether a lot of times I'm trying for I breed for terps most often, but then also for like effect. Also like I like right now I'm trying to go more. I'm looking for some more something that's gonna be a little bit quick. I'm looking for some more traditional indicas that will work in right now I'm actually breeding for some structure, I guess. I normally breed for I'm looking for something that's going to give for terpenes but in effect, but I'm looking for something that will work in a tiered facility and give me like I'm looking for another good indica, some good indicas. I've been breeding with sour dub a lot lately, and then I reversed a master recently that I'm playing with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I
that's
haven't seen the Master Kush used to be amazing, but
yeah, no,
I haven't seen it in a while.
they actually got I got it. I got it, and then I was not, but I was given it by someone that wasn't supposed to give it to me, and and then I kind of got in trouble by the holder of it, even though I was going to get it from them in a couple weeks. But so I actually got in a little trouble for having that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's been a lot of that, what you just explained. And that's kind of the reason that a lot of really good genetics have been lost.
Yeah.
Is it's because this guy will only have 2, 3, 4 friends that he trusts to give the cut to. Maybe one of those friends has 4 or 5 friends. And you know, it can live on in those little small, like, you know, circles, but not usually, because it only takes 3 or 4 of those to go down.
Yeah, no, that
You know?
I used to keep cuts with just like that really close in circles, and I've lost so many cuts that way. That's where I'm not gonna discount anyone else. I understand like keeping a cut close.
Yeah.
But it's just it's and I respect it. I'm never like that's one thing is I do have cuts like my personal cuts with if I made something I pretty much will release it out there, but I understand I respect I come from old school and I understand. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, but in the old school, right? Let's just go back. Let's just pretend we're in 1990. Let's say let's just pretend we're in 1950, right? Let's just pretend, okay? And whatever reason. And you have OG Kush for some reason, right? And you're the only guy that's got OG Kush. And for some reason, I got Chem Dog, right? I got Chem 4, let's say, right? Well, you got OG Kush and I got Chem 4. Well, we're the only motherfuckers in town with that. Now, if someone comes to you or me and they say, hey, how much you want for a cut of OG Kush? The problem with that is that whatever dollar amount you put on it, you could probably make more money if you just didn't sell it and you only sold the flower at that time, right? Because now you're creating competition. Somebody else has your cut and they're growing the same weed as you, and they might live in the same town or in the same area, and they might have the same circle. And so that, you know, that flooded the market. That wasn't cool. So there was that aspect. But back then, people would say, "Oh yeah, it's these famous stories like about Ghost and all these other cookies and these other cuts getting $16,000." And I guess Ghost was a different story, but the cookies I've heard like $16,000 story up in Seattle. Some guy paid like 16 grand for a cut, but then he made his money back in 1 week selling clones. Once the thing was mature and big enough, they was able to take clones. He was selling the clones for like $250, $300 a piece, and he made his money back real quick. Um, and that was medical days. Like nowadays, I don't know. It's different. Um, I don't know if cuts are hoarded anymore medical days or not. Seems like nurseries don't care. Like there's like the big nurseries like Seed Junkie. Guys got fucking shit available all the time.
Well, yeah, because there's really, I there's not so much hoarding now because it's changed. It used to be exclusive, but being exclusive, I guess used to be a thing, but now you can't. It's hard to sell things that don't have the hype behind it anymore. So it's I don't know. It's
Well, the thing is like now we don't have cannabis cups, so now small breeders can't put their strain, like go enter their strain in a cup and then win a cup, and then that was one way to like really, boost the sales of your strain is like, oh, this is a cup winner, right? You can't say that. Like now it's like, oh, now we got a bunch of little independent cups that are, they only exist in some small ass town in Oklahoma or something. Not to say shit about Oklahoma, but it's the truth. It's like your small cup doesn't really represent cannabis as a whole. You know, these big national cups. It was like people came from all over the world to compete in high times cups. Like they were big deals, and like your small cup that has 5,000 people go to it or something like that. That's cool and all for your town, but that's not a high times cup. High times cups were big. Were big. 5,000 people come in the door in an hour. San Bernardino, like there was a lot of people came up and down through that cup in LA. A lot of people were in that cup. Cups up in Seattle, a lot of people.
those
I can only imagine. I wish I had. I mean, I had the money into everything. I just didn't. It was just stupid. I didn't realize, but I wish I would have had the forethought to have gone to some of the cups that were in Amsterdam before High Times was like before our medical scene in America. That would have been really cool to go to those in the '90s, right?
yeah. I see. That was all. I always dreamed about it. That's in the '90s. Actually, I was growing, and I always would get the high times, and I'd do those things and dream about the cup, and that was I dreamt about that was one of a cup for years and years and years and years before I ever entered one.
See, it sounds like you manifested it. You manifested those ACDC wins. You know, you thought about them, and then you dream about them, and then they became creation. They became became reality. You know, that's pretty cool. So yeah, ACDC cookies, like that would have been cool if that would have been sold. That sucks that was kind of hoarded. Um,
Yeah, I still have the seeds from it, and like I said, the ranch is doing some work with a cousin of that. I crossed that with another cookie CBD with a Susie Q cookies cross, which I actually preferred it. It was most of the phenos were green, but they were like really close to green crack. I
yeah,
think, in fact, I'm thinking that Susie Q, because they always said it was a land race California genetic. What I think it was, I think it was a freak pheno of skunk one, because when you breed it bred out, you get a lot of this old classic skunk one phenos, not the roadkill, but all the others, like the kind of the garlicky, the onions, and the sweet like green crack phenos. Um, and I like that a little bit more because I like went back to my preference. I like the green crack to smoke it, and it just I have a cross of with that pheno. Uh, that was no, it was yeah. I don't know which one was male. I can't remember. Oh, now I'm gonna hate myself. But anyways, I crossed. Yeah, it was a male of that crossed to the cup winner, and he's now working with that and doing another set of FT. I mean type twos, which I want to get back into work myself too. Is that I'm a big fan of the type 2 cultivars. That's it's probably why I was destined to win the cup with it. There's a lot of nostalgia on those two. I originally got into CBD through my dad because I had the Susie Q cut and I had the Susie Q and ACDC, Valentine X, a bunch of all the ones that were the hemp cultivars at the time. And my dad came down with cancer, and I grew some of them out for him. It was at the time there was like tinctures were just starting to be a thing. Like my brown dog made some tinctures, which helped him, but he preferred to. He didn't really like it, but he preferred smoking it because he would he had esophageal cancer, and he would get nauseous and he couldn't keep his food down. But if he smoked CBD, it would he'd be able to keep his food down. And but anyway, so I grew out a couple of the ACDC and CCQ for him, and he just hated it. He's like, he came from a recreational background. He's like, I'm not gonna go back to smoking garbage. He's like, this is what you do, right? You breed strains. He's like, make me some CBD I could smoke. And so I took the ACDC. What did I cross over originally? I crossed to I did a couple feminized crosses, and I reversed it, and I did it to the first one I did actually was to Xena, and that's I don't know if you ever had it. It was one of the first. Brown dog had it for a long time. It was called Toshi, and it was actually when my first high times cup we won. We actually just won. Then didn't win the cup with that one. I got a couple thirds, and then, but that's I really I don't know. I like type.
What were you primarily getting off of the CBD and flavor? Were you getting like cherry cough syrup, or did you find other flavors in the CBD lines?
I could on the type 2s. I was able to get a lot more flavors off the type 2s off the chair than the straight cough, the cherries. I did notice like the more you get to a straight type 3 pure CBD, you end up that definitely overwhelms a lot of the flavors. I wasn't before I really stopped doing CBD. I did get a couple really good, nice ones. Some candy phenos, and I know High Alpine's got some really good CBD work that aren't really cherry. But on the type 2s, I was able to bring a lot more of the THC terpene profiles into it. which is what I liked, and I just also like the effects more of a CBD THC combo than straight CBD. I feel that they just balance each other. They both it's some so,
The did you cross the Xena to CBD directly?
yeah, that was my first. That was the first one I did. Is because he's like, I need some CBD with flavor, and I was like, okay, I'll cross.
Yeah. Yeah, because oh man, I'm choking off the stab. But that was one of my bitches always about CBD when I'd get the isolate, is that the cherry cough syrup taste. I just couldn't deal with that. I've tried some other CBD concentrates from some other companies. I found one that was kind of like a pineapple, but it wasn't the sweet part of the pineapple. It was like the pineapple husk. It was kind of strange, but it wasn't cherry, so it was still, it was still
Yeah.
more enjoyable. Like I like cherry. I like the candy cherry. I just don't like the cough syrup cherry. And I'm not sure what terp is doing that, but seems very predominant in CBD strains.
Yeah,
In flower.
a lot of my type, even I guess a lot of the type use they did turn to a little bit more cherry to turn it into a concentrate, except for I did a couple crosses with tangy and it the citrus
Oh,
flavor.
the orange came through the
Yeah.
the Calio.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I there's a lot of people that'll shit on Tangy, but I personally love the flavor of Tangy. And Tangy in a concentrate has got potency.
Yeah.
Um, you know. But yeah, that's cool. I wonder how I wonder how that Tangy would have worked with that Xena. That orange, like an orange Xena. That would have been good.
I made that. I have that somewhere.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Xena to me, like that kind of fuel is like what would you call that fuel? That is like a not a rubbing alcohol. It's a different kind of fuel. That Xena has a fuel, but it's not. Is it more like lamp fuel or something? It's like I don't know. It reminds me of some kind of different, maybe paint thinner or something. There's some kind of different kind of fuel. It's not a gas.
Mm-hmm,
It's not like Kim 4 where it's like bright gasoline. It's not Kim D where it's like bearing grease. It's like this other kind of like maybe lighter fluid. Lighter fluid maybe is maybe what I'm thinking of. Like it's got a different taste. But then when you add the sweetness of Cindy 99 on it, it kind of makes that enjoyable. Xena in flower is amazing. Like smoking the flower is amazing. The concentrate's good. Like you got to remake Xena. There's got to have the components. Those components got to still exist. WMD, I think that still exists. It's like Vancouver Seed Bank, I think, sells it. But then again, like you don't have to put fucking Big Bud into it.
Yeah.
You can just cut that out of it. Because you don't want Big Bud phenos anyway.
Yeah.
Although that might have contributed to the size. I don't know. Because green crack gets pretty big though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but not like that. That's
not like that though. Yeah. I'm trying to see if I have some pictures of Xena. See, I'm really bad at labeling stuff. Like I'll just put a bunch of pictures in a folder and then I'll make a new folder, put a bunch of pictures in there. So I got all these pictures all over the place. It's like I got some really nice pictures of Xena. See if I can do a search. I like to show these people because Xena is pretty amazing. Well, I got a Xena that's not. It's kind of like a foxtailing picture of it. That's different. I guess I can still show them this. It's not the best. So each time I grew it, I got better, right? This is one time when I grew it when it was a little bit warmer. So it let's see. Fuck, I didn't share right. Hang on. Present, screen share. There we go, there. So there, like it usually gets these giant buds. There it was kind of different. It was a little bit warmer, but gets frosty. I got better pictures. I just got to find them. Interwebs. But yeah, so you're gonna have you're gonna do another breeding run, you said soon or sometime soon, or you gonna hunt the old seeds, or you're gonna try to start fresh, or are you gonna try to work with any of the new modern genetics, or just work your own stuff?
A little bit of both. There's a bunch of stuff I never got around to. I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to try again, and just like from stuff I lost or stuff I never properly hunted.
Yeah. Did you ever grow chocolate tie or any of the ties back in the 90s, early 2000s?
No, I used to get it. I had my one of my friend's dad back in the day had a really good had a connection from chocolate tie, and I had for like 2 years I had a chocolate tie OG cross that was it was I don't remember who did it. Someone local in San Diego did it, and but it was called Mocha. And I don't think it ever really got out, but it was just it was like hot. It tastes like hot chocolate with like an OG. It's not a full OG punch, more like I guess a soft OG, but still really good.
Okay, here's some Xena. So this is Xena week 6. Oh fuck! Hang on a second here. I gotta change the view first. This fucking software. Fuck. All right. Here's Xena at week 6. So you can see she gets these big fucking colas, and she's very sativa. So you can go in there a little better. But yeah, Juice Box OG in the background. I have a video that I can play. Xena. But yeah, it's a good plant. You need to. My vote is you got to make more of it.
Yeah.
Work it. Work it. Slur them. I don't know if that's still in the wheelhouse or not. That's a good one too. That's good stuff. I don't know. Like ACDC cookies, is that?
I actually I have some Slurm F2s. I redid it. I haven't got a chance to go through it again, but I popped some seeds 2 years ago, and I got about a 10 viable out of 100. I went through them and I made some F2s, but I haven't gone through it to see if they were decent.
Yeah. Well,
I
you should have.
tried.
You should have some. You should find some nice stuff in the F2s. I mean, it
Yeah.
just depends on how many you look at, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were saying you tried what?
Oh, and I try to. I don't know. I need to go through a lot of. There's a lot of stuff I have. I never really gave proper uh, attention to. Is because I've always had fairly somewhat small grows. At least my breeding areas are always fairly small, and I have a especially when I was selling seeds. Is I I had a philosophy. Is I tried to release stuff. Well, I always tried to test everything before I sent it out, and even though it's not realistic, I try not to release stuff to where you could find you'll be happy. Everyone will be happy if they could find something in just one pack. I don't really agree to that whole. You have to. I don't know. I I I, I always felt I never wanted to be the the. I always feel bad when I'm making seeds for other people because I know you spend so much. There's so much time in spending those, and you're spending 6 to 9 months, and you grow them, and then it ends up being crap. I hate. Never wanted to be that guy.
Yeah. Well, that's why you do testing. You know, you gotta do
Yeah.
testing. It's like, but yeah, it does suck to like spin on like you grow your testers out because not every you might the dad strain might be a 9 or a 10, and the mom might be a 9 or a 10. But just because you put two nines and tens together doesn't mean you're going to come out with a 9 or a 10. You might come out with a 2.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
might
yeah.
you might get all the recessive traits that fucking suck from each parent in the new cross, and then you grow those out, and they're all shit. But then there's one recessive one in there that's amazing, right? Because it just somehow has all the right traits, right? And so yeah, but not everybody can do those giant fucking pheno hunts. And then with the cost of power now, it's like it's just different. And then in Prop 215, like we could stack licenses, and it was different. Like it's a lot more common to find 10 lighters back then than today. In today's world, it's pretty uncommon now. Most of the home growers are 4 lights or less, maybe.
Yeah. It's either 4 lights or 400.
Yeah, yeah, it's either 4 or 400. Yeah, yeah, you know. But yeah, he does. But yeah, Red Pill, he's got the Slurm to the Xena, and so it looks like he did some feminized work also at some point there, which I've never. It's never been in my wheelhouse. But what's your method on that? Do you Clydal Silver or STS or
STS.
STS?
I prefer male, female, just because, but just that's I've always tradition. But
Yeah, yeah. Well, to me, I feel like the male alleles offer health traits because in my experience with feminized seeds, there's some people out there that do them extremely well, like Humboldt CSI. I've never seen his stuff fucking show a ball sack. Like all his stuff is fucking bulletproof, like amazingly bulletproof. But I've seen some other stuff from some European breeders where it got overfed one day, or it got underwatered, or there was a little bit heat problem in the room, or a fan went out or something for a day or two, and now these plants are fucking Herman, right? But if they were regs, maybe they wouldn't have did that. Maybe they would have had the stability to deal with that stress, right? Because I feel like a male alleles they offer, that's one of the things that they pass down is stress resistance. It's just my gut feeling and my bro theory. I don't have a science behind that, but it appears that way from what you see, because there's a lot of, as you can see, you can find feminized versions and regular versions, and you see basically you see the strain, and then you see the S1 that somebody made of that strain, and I've never seen an S1 more stable than the parent.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But I understand there's a place for feminized seeds. Like, say you're doing a recreational grow, and you want to throw down, I don't know. Say we got one of those big ass buildings in Desert Hot Springs that have, 500 lights or something, right? Or bigger. And we're brand new, and we got our seeds. They're Prop 64 network seeds or whatever. And we got our seeds and we throw them down. Well, if we throw down 500, if we throw down, 500 lights worth of seeds, for that amount of space, and they're all female and they're all guaranteed female. The only thing that we really have to worry about is that we have a difference in phenotype. So some of them will be taller than others, and it's just managing the canopy, right? You don't have to go through and look for and sort out all the males. That's where, because you're probably not going to do this. You're going to have people that are paid minimum wage that are working as water boys, and you have to rely on them pulling the males out, unless you might do it, but a lot of time big commercial facilities, it's usually they pay them the minimum amount they can to get them to show up.
Yeah, I know. I was actually last year. We were running a facility for an operator, and I did did a seed hunt through there, and basically they weren't paying me, so I just like finally was like, okay, I need to get paid, and I got let go because they weren't going to pay me. But so I did a seed hunt, and it was all the. I didn't do the hunt. I vegged everything out, and I got let go basically when everything was 1 week into flower, and by 2 weeks in flower, it there was a male that popped up, and they weren't looking for it, and it flowered the whole room.
Oh, lots of seeds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wonder what they did with that. I wonder if they just sold it for extraction.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Because I think that's mostly, that's mostly what happens in recreational facilities is if something harms, it just gets sold for extraction, because it doesn't matter if there's seeds or not. If you don't hydrocarbon extraction, you're gonna it's just gonna blast it's gonna blast the propellant past it anyway.
Yeah, I think they had to do that with one. There was like there was 4 varieties in that being grown in that room. I think one got it pretty bad, and because I think they caught it after it probably been dumped. Been dumping. They thought they got it in time, but they obviously didn't. And I think it just dumped for a day or two.
Yeah, did I see a Dosilato cross on here? I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at a facility that grew the Dosilato, and that shit was gigantic. The pheno they had. I mean, they were some big ass buds, and it's super easy to trim, really frosty. And I was like, wow, it's actually I don't know, that's the first Dosido cross I see that's an improvement over Dosido. Very few of them. A lot of people try to cross Dosido, but wasn't as good as the original. Like that's better. But I haven't seen that cut around since last year, or about 2 years ago. About a year and a half ago. You don't really see Dosilato anymore. It kind of came and went.
Yeah.
I think it's because Seed Junkie releases so many strains that they don't stay on the market very long. They get popular and then they're gone. You know, I mean, the guy's probably got 200 strains or more, easy. You know. Did you ever work with the soap? Ever come across the soap cut?
I haven't personally worked with it. I know a couple. I've seen it. I've seen a couple crosses done with it.
Yeah, I grew it one time, and the way that I would describe it is like cheap hotel white soap. Like it had that smell, that kind of stem rub, and that flavor when you smoked it. I'm like, have you ever had that soap in your mouth? It was like that soap, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, it was really hard to get the cut, and then I grew it, and then I was like, kind of just like, wait, why is this desirable? Yeah, but it was purple. It turned purple, really bright, dark purple and everything. So it had like the bag appeal and everything, and it has nice parents on paper, but like we're saying, parents on paper doesn't translate to amazing outcome in the progeny. To the crosses may not be
Yeah, no,
shit.
that's
The only way to know is to grow them, and you gotta grow them, and then like I don't know what your situation is, but my situation is that it's been very there's been a real trust factor involved in trying to find testers, because you have testers that want to either treat you like you're just a Mother Teresa giving them seeds, and they want free seeds, and then you never hear from them again. It'd be cool to give them the free seeds if they provided you some pictures and some feedback, but a lot of times you just never hear from them again. Or you get this other thing where these people decide, oh, you know what? I'm gonna cross this testers with this other tester, and I'm gonna become a seed bank. And that's happened to me before. And then but usually it's just, jack your shit, or their first time grower, which is okay. But the problem is most of the time they just don't provide feedback. You give them something and they're gone. You don't ever hear back from them. And
yeah. It's
whether the
supposed to just
result is good or bad, I want to know. I don't care if you had a Tasmanian devil come in there and rip everything up. Cool, just let me know, right? It's like if you fucked up, if you overwatered and you burnt all your plants, cool, let me know. Not hearing from you ever again, that's the worst thing. But yeah,
yeah.
how do you get testers? How do you test? What's your process on that?
I haven't really fucked with testers for a while because it's so I've always just so frustrated because I never ever hear any back from anybody ever.
Yeah.
Even when you give them to friends, it's like usually
Yeah.
half the best you ever hear is like it was good or bad or well what did you think about it? Was I mean
Yeah, that's the thing is, yeah, and or the friends will be like, yeah, I don't know. I'm guilty of this too. Like I got friends seeds, and it's just I have to find. I basically, like we all have these plant counts,
yeah.
and if you don't, and regardless, you still have space counts, and
Yeah,
so
I do like
I have
yeah,
to
I do
dedicate.
the
I
same.
have to dedicate like 6 months of my life to your seed to even know if it's fucking worth doing anything with, right? And so like I'm sure you're like me where you didn't just start breeding. At first you collected seeds. So I was a seed junkie before there was a seed junkie, right? I was collecting seeds. And so I've gathered all these seeds. And so there's stuff that you want to grow. Eventually what happens is you make a bunch of crosses, and then you also have a collection, and then people give you stuff. and then you end up with a pool of a bunch of really awesome shit. But you're like, I want to grow this, and you do want to grow the other guy's thing, but you kind of want to explore your own shit that you made. That's the whole reason you made it, is because you thought that thing crossed with that thing might be awesome. And so yeah, it's balancing the time and the space and the resources to grow other people's stuff. But that's why it's nice to have testers that they don't actually have their own work. They're just, growing it for the love of growing it. And, But the problem is just like you said, there's trust problems. Just never hear back from the fuckers.
Yeah.
I had a couple of.
I'm also guilty. I have lots of seeds. I have hundreds of packs of other seeds. So I'd love to grow, but I never will get around to.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's a guy, Fumador. Is a good dude. He runs a channel, Fumador and the Flavors, and he made all these really cool crosses. Maybe I don't know, probably fucking 3 years ago at this point now, maybe longer. And he's got this one called Morgana, and at one point I did start it. I grew like half of what he gave me, right? But then I had this situation where I thought I was gonna have to like move. And so like I sold a bunch of shit and shut down for a while. And then like when I started back up, I just never got back around to it. And like I really want to grow his stuff because he's got some awesome stuff. Like he's always talking about this Ruby Jack, and he's got these strawberry terps. Like my goal is to find a really good strawberry and Kim mix, right? Because to me, strawberry doesn't do much on its own. But if you have strawberry with Kim, that's a different story. His is like a strawberry Jack. So that should be really close. That should be really nice too. So like I really need to grow it, but at the same time, it's like I want to explore my own stuff. Right. And then you want to make new stuff. And it's like it's a balance of space and time. And then if you want to like try to make some stuff at another location, shit always goes funny with other people. So can't really do that. I don't know. I've tried to do collabs with other people at other people's houses before, and it just always fucks up. Always some jealousy or something happens. So it's like, I figured like the best way to do a collab is I give you a cut, or I give you a pack of seeds, and you hunt it, or you use that cut, and you make your own seeds with it, right? Or like vice versa, right? Like, I don't know, working together. I guess it doesn't always happen, but like when two people are local and try to work together in like a facility, there's always button heads. Like people always have ideas, right? Like even, I don't know, even like watering, people have fucking butt heads on like even water cycling and drybacks and PPMs and fertilizer brands and, man, the amount of debate just based on a fertilizer brand is ridiculous. I mean, they're all within a few percent of each other. They all have the same macro and micronutrients. They're designed to grow this plant. Pick your Levi's or your Baskin Robbins or whatever brand that you like, and be cool with it. But it doesn't mean that you have to bash on other people because they use Canna or they use GH or they use Athena or whatever. Although Athena does grow cardboard terps, but whatever. It's just not that so much cardboard terps. It's just kind of like all the plants come out tasting the same.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I think what it is, it's not Athena so much as it is the feeding regimen that they recommend.
It's more the feeding regimen than anything. It's
3EC. It's the 3EC.
And that you're pumping. Yeah, it has to do with the just the margin in the rec market right now, and it's kind of like because we were using Athena at our facility last year. I was using when you're doing volume, it's really hard not to go with something like that, and then you doing it.
Yeah, it's cheap.
But but you could because we some lines we did pretty good, and we didn't push crops during as hard as it can. So, so that's probably that's another reason why.
No, that's cool. No, the Athena, the only problem in my thing is like you're pushing when they recommend pushing 3 EC, like you're just pushing the plant so hard. Um, you have the metabolic rate up so high that I think that it doesn't build certain esters and certain terpenes within the plant because it's just like the metabolism is so high and the plant is just it's just racing basically, right? It's like a racehorse, and it doesn't accumulate some of those things that
Exactly.
a plant fed 1,000 ppm might. You know, some of those oils and esters and things. You know,
Mm-hmm. It's I mean it's the same thing as meat that's grown, that's grown, like that's pushed, hardcore with all
yeah,
synthetics. It tastes bland.
yeah. Like basically, you're feeding 3 EC, and your result is a bunch of biomass,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you know. So it's not craft quality cannabis. It's mass produced biomass at that point. And that's kind of what we're doing, like on a small scale. Once the big ag comes in, if they ever do, they've been saying once big ag is going to comes in for the last 15 years, but once big ag comes in, I'm sure they're going to have some industrial scale that they're going to do it on. I'm sure Costco's will seem like small operations to them, Costco-sized warehouses.
Yeah, I'm less afraid of that than I used to be. They used to. I mean, a lot of the canopy space that's going down, like it's that's shutting down this in California are a lot of the big operations. I mean, it's also the people that didn't have the funding and couldn't do it, but but the people when you scale too high, you're getting bad product, and it's harder to move 1,000 2,000 pounds within right away, and it's just by the time in the rec markets everything sits, it's at least it's probably stuff's been in it's 4 to 6 months since it's been harvested by the time the first person's ever smoked it. So and like the products like cleanse kills the shelf life. That's another reason, like just I it's still going to be a ways away before someone does it successfully. That's going to kill the small market. I still think.
So you're saying, wait, hang on a second. So when you say the hypochlorous acid kills the shelf life, are you talking about of the finished product?
Yeah, it definitely does, because I've ran the lines with it and without it, and having to use it in the drip lines, and it definitely kills shelf life. There's no doubt with it kills shelf life, at least in my opinion. I have ran both, and I'm a firm believer that it definitely does kill, like it's kills shelf life, and that's the thing. In the rec market, it's 6 months before it usually gets to the consumer.
Yeah,
By
yeah.
the time it's been
the thing with the hypochlorous acid, it's being used basically for people to clean their irrigation lines.
Yeah.
And to keep their manifolds and their irrigation lines clean. I like a different product. There's a product called SLF 100,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a microbial enzyme, and it works amazing. Like I'll use it as the same way that people use hypochlorous acid, and I've used it in Floraflex systems, and it's worked perfect. Keeps them spotless clean, and it keeps your roots fucking pearl white. You know, they're straight. They're like they're bleached, and it's a microbial enzyme. So it's both an enzyme and it's microbes. So it's not anything bad, right? Just expensive.
Hydroponic research has a similar product that I just tested it out for a little bit at our facility that I kind of liked, and it's also like a pH down at the same time. But I liked it. Like I definitely agree with using the enzyme approach. That's
Yeah.
I used to use SLF 100 on my the grow that my old 215 grow.
Yeah, the SLF 100 was always like my little secret weapon. Always worked good. It always like if you I didn't have any what'd you call that? I didn't have any nutrient lockout. It would always like clean the medium well. It always did a good job at breaking things up. So it would never my runoff would never be really high, and my because I used to do like these slurry tests. Long time ago, I was running this product called Nectar for the Gods, which at the time was like 4 bottles, and it became 6 bottles, and it became 10 bottles, and now he's like 22 bottles. And by the time it got to like 6 or 7 bottles, I was like, oh, I'm done with this shit. I went to something else, but it worked really good. I had amazing weed, and it worked amazing. Nothing wrong with it. It was good stuff, you know. But yeah, it's too many bottles.
Yeah, I remember that. I used it for a while. I ran that for a couple of years. But yeah, I got.
And then you guys were running. I think you guys were running Canna, at least Brown Dog. That's what they were buying because I was selling it at the time. I was the rep, and they would buy Canna all the time. I used to give them like 30% off or something ridiculous. But I couldn't believe there's a product in that Canna line that was just stupid expensive. I think it was called Boost.
Yeah, it was Canna Boost for sure. That's the
it was like $600, $700 for like a gallon. It was fucking ridiculous. But the rest of the line was affordable. Just that one product. And I don't remember what it was made from. But yeah, it was like basically I worked at that shop, and they were the only Canna rep in Coachella Valley. So we would get all the business for all the grows in the area. Because if they went at the time, it was just us and Palm Springs Hydro, and Palm Springs Hydro didn't sell Canna because they were a house and garden store, and we were a Canna store. And it's kind of like competition between like two Dutch brands, which House and Garden is no longer Dutch. It's like fucking California Dutch. It's like Humboldt County Dutch because it got bought. But yeah, we used to. The thing about that job is that I got to try all these different nutrient lines, and because I used to think that there was a big difference, but really there's not like a lot of difference. They're pretty much all pretty similar. Some cost more than others. Some have more stuff. Some have some stuff though. They're like recovery things, like what's the Australian one that comes in the silver bottles? Psycho.
Psycho, yeah.
Yeah. Like they have Doctor Repair, and they have like a really good silica. They have a product with a sunflower on it that was really good. Forget what it was. But some of these brands, they do have like good stuff, but I just think they break it into too many different bottles. And so lately I've been using, like, for a long time I grew organically, strictly organic. And I used to just like amend soils, and that was a thing. And then
same.
And then there was this time when I went to SunGrow. Remember SunGrow? They used on the dispensary.
Yeah. The one
I
behind the
walk in the
gas
sun.
station.
I walk in the SunGrow all proud. I got my pound of weed, and I want to sell it to him. Oh, I want to donate it to him. Okay, donate it to him. That's how we did it back then. And he asked me what I wanted because he's like, "Oh, this looks really good. What do what you looking to get?" And I tell him, I'm like, "It's organic." He's like, he looked at me. He's like, "I don't give a fuck." He's like, he goes, "I'm gonna pay you the same price." Right? This is an Asian guy. He's like, "Oh, so I'm gonna pay you the same price, dog." I'm like, what? Really? He goes, I go, "You don't care that I spent all this time to grow this stuff organically?" He's like, "No, he's like, we sell it for the same price per gram. It don't matter if it's organic or not." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I go, I could put half the effort and get twice the biomass with the chemicals and come back and bring you something else. If you don't care, I don't care." And so that's when I started experimenting with all the damn chemical, with all the damn bottles, and before that I had like limited experience. Like I would do like a little side grow with like the nectar or the side grow with the fucking other stuff. But yeah, at that job though, they was one of the perks was they'd give you an entire line for free as long as you promised to run it. And so yeah, I worked there for like over a year or so. I ran a bunch of stuff because I'd run two lines at a time.
Mm-hmm.
5 cycles a year. So yeah, but yeah, that was cool. But yeah, I don't know what else. What else should we let the public know about you? Um, what else you want the world to know?
Shit.
Are you gonna go back in the Are you gonna go back into recreational? Are you gonna try that again? Or are you just gonna?
Yeah. We're I we're I'm about we're about a year and a half into trying to build a facility. It's a building one up in Reading. Not a huge operation. It's gonna be. It originally was gonna be 240 lights a flower, but we scaled it back to 120 and single tier because we want to keep the quality up a little bit, and because we operated a double tier facility for a while last year for another operator, and I just not so much my issue with two-tiered grows isn't so much the difference in quality between upper level and lower level, because if you understand, you realize what your environments are doing, you can adjust for that by what you're planning out there. It's just the amount of work that takes to do that second level. For every hour you spend on your first tier for whatever task it is, you're spending at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, on that upper tier, and you still aren't. Your attention to detail isn't quite there the same, and if that's the quality is all about the attention to detail. If you don't do attention to detail, you're not gonna. It doesn't matter if it's 2 lights or 100 lights; it's gonna end up bad. So I just didn't this. I just don't like doing the second tier. So we were building some SOP to where we could try to do it trying to do a little bit. I'll cut some corners on labor, but to where we won't lose the quality. Trying to.
So you're gonna automate, I imagine,
Yeah.
the watering, automate the watering, and are you gonna get are you going to do an automated nutrient like stock tank where you just have stock tanks and you set the doser like a certain ppm and it fills the reservoir? Or are you going to manually fill your reservoir every day?
No, we're gonna do the dosers. Have everything dosed. The facility that we
Or
operated
dosage.
last
I
year.
guess you can do dosatrons. That's the other way
What?
you can do it. You can do the dosatron way as well. Yeah. And then you just turn the things and set them. Yeah. Is this going to be indoor or greenhouse up there? Because it gets hot in Reading.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, it's 120 lights of indoor. It's and then it's gonna have a it's gonna and then well, actually it's 140 lights of flower. It's gonna be 120 commercial, but I have it's gonna have a 4 light. It has a 4 light breeding room, and then a 12 light test room, where it's gonna be like dedicated to testing
Yeah.
genetics.
Speaking of dedicated, you better have a dedicated ventilation system and heating and cooling system that's only for that breeding room to keep that pollen
Oh,
fucking
oh
contained.
yeah. It is. It's actually in a. It's a.
Could you
Inside
imagine?
it's
Could you
separated
imagine
for the
accidentally
building. It's in
pollinating?
the,
Could you
what?
imagine no accidentally? Could you imagine accidentally pollinating 120 lights worth of females? I mean, that would be tragic.
Um,
Or you would have seeds forever. You would never run out of that particular cultivar.
I've seen it. Well, I've also put in a couple. We're putting in a couple little safety things. I've seen a Nature Refined has got a really good breeding. I've kind of copied my breeding room off his a little bit in Adelanto. He's got a he's got about a 4 light breeding room, but it's right. His is right next to 1,000 lights, and they've never had a cross pollination, but he has a to where to get into the breeding room. It's the ventilation is isolated, but it's also
Yeah.
but he has it's like a walk through shower that you have to go through. You can leave
Oh, so it's like a wet. So you're wet. So the pollen is not active.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but my breeding room it's gonna be situated in an area that's basically all there's gonna be no growing areas. The distribution and packaging and tissue culture part of the wing. I hope I'm about to lose my battery here pretty quick.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll get off here in a minute. We had a good conversation. Um, yeah, it's just saying, like, if there's anything else you want people to know, MedTreeSeeds.com is the website. He's a multi-cup cannabis winner. He's won with his ACDC cookies. First place a couple of times at least. He's had some other entries in there. He's there you go. Yeah. Hold up the cup again. Show that off proudly. Let's bring it back into focus. You see that cup, guys? I mean, not everybody has one of those, and this is before High Times became crap. So that's good shit. He's MedTree Seeds on Instagram. I don't know. Do you have a YouTube account? I'm not sure.
No, I don't. I need to get back out there more.
Yeah. Your seeds used to be found at Elite Oregon Seeds. I don't know. Maybe Seeds here now. I'm not sure. But place I used to always see them was in the Brown Dog, which sadly is no more and never came back. It's interesting that you mentioned the location that you're moving to, because I knew an individual that was working for Bruce in like 2000, a while ago, let's say, and they had a different type of operation in that same building.
Yeah. Actually, we've seen the remnants of their old operation thing.
Yeah. And then I heard about that, and my friend, which is no longer I don't really know him anymore, but he moved to LA and became works for a legitimate place now. But Bruce, that guy was not a wholesome character, let's just say. He did a lot of pissed a lot of people off on his way out, at least.
Yeah, because when we moved in, there was still a locked safe in the middle room there, and they had the room that had all the. It said the kid had like a bunch of keys and says like nursery, flower 1, flower 2. Like, oh, this building's already been purposed.
Yeah, they were doing that too. He grew a lot of bugs there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like he didn't. They didn't really know what they were doing. They were like, "Oh, we got all these." I remember one time they came into the store and they're like, "Oh, we need to buy some bug spray for what?" I'm like, "For what?" They're like, "Oh, well, we got these elite cuts from NorCal and we paid a whole bunch of money for them, and you know everything's got bugs." And then the guy like tried to bring like a fucking branch in, right, with bugs on it.
Like, whoa,
And I'm like, hey, hey, them motherfuckers jump on it. I don't want.
Oh shit.
Like, I'm gonna have to burn my shirt before I can even go in my house. Like, you motherfucker. Yeah, I hated that. People, or like half of them would like, you know, they either have like that was the problem working at that store. Is like half the people walking in, they either had bug problems or they had mold problems. And so they come in, they want to shake your hand, and it's like, nah,
resting their arms in the counter, and the bugs are all walking on.
Yeah. So yeah, I recommend folks if you ever go to a hydro store, wear some clothes and then take them off immediately when you get home and put them in a washer machine and wash them, and go take a bath or a shower before you go anywhere near any plants, because you probably brought something home with you. It's kind of like clones too. Like whenever you buy a clone, right? You gotta imagine that you gotta treat a clone like, imagine that she's like a hooker that you got on Figueroa Street in LA. And you know, you hope she's clean, but she's probably not.
She's probably not.
So you better have the spray, put her in quarantine and spray her for about 2-3 weeks. And then, you know, she looks good, then maybe you can introduce her into the stable. But before then, you know, you gotta check her out. You know. But anyways, on that note, yeah, we had a good talk, and you know, maybe come back in the future again, and we'll talk about some randomness again. And he's Figaro ain't no joke, he says in chat. Yeah, I know. That's why I picked that street. That's where the hoochie mamas are at, Figueroa. All right, well, cool. Well, you have a good day, man. We'll
cool,
until next time, we'll talk again, and we'll figure something out with Xena somehow. The plant I got is not so the healthiest. He said he had another cut, but we'll talk.
Okay.
But and we're local enough, yeah. We can, you know, trade some stuff and work a deal. You know, yeah, we can talk. All right. Well, you have a good day, man.
All right.
I'm gonna end the broadcast. Everybody have fun in chat. It's in chat. You know, post stroll. Yeah, it is. All right. Cool. You have a good one, man.